اللهم أرنا الحق حقا واتبعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا اجتنابه اللهم إنا نسألك خير ما سألك عبد رسولك نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من شر ما استعاذ بك عبد رسولك نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. My topic today is the role of American Muslims in U.S. society. We just came out of this election and we've seen how in this election the powers that be shift from one side to other. And we as Muslims have been living in this country, we are citizens of this country, we are American Muslim citizens, we have to have a role to play. We cannot be sitting on the sidelines and watching what's going on in this country in terms of every 4 years the powers that be keep moving. Many people in Islam, they believe that there's no role of politics, or politics is separate from Islam, separation of church and state. This is a confusion that many people have in our society. And there is no separation of church or state or mosque and state, as we see from Rasulullah when he migrated to Yathrib, which was not called Medina yet. When he moved to Yathrib, was Yathrib a Muslim society? Yes or no? Yathrib was just like America. When we came here as immigrants in the 50s and 60s and 70s, this was Yathrib, just the same way. Rasulullah had to deal with people living in Yathrib. There were Jews living in Yathrib. There were Christians living in Yathrib. There were Aus and Khazraj, two major tribes living in Yathrib. These were migrants. They migrated from Mecca. They were tiny, weeny. Yes, there were some Ansar, the helpers of Rasulullah who invited him to come to Yathrib. The Meccans are giving you a hard time, but come to Yathrib, we will support you. So on his call, he made that grand move after Allah gave him the permission, obviously. Because you know the Bayat al-Aqaba al-Ula and Bayat al-Aqaba al-Thaniya from the Seerah we learned that these two pledges of allegiance around Mount Aqaba is when the Ansar came to Rasulullah in Mecca, outside the Mecca, on the mountains of Aqaba, to invite him. Each year that they came to invite him, he said, not yet. Bring more supporters. So that's why we have Bayat al-Aqaba al-Thaniya. Second year they came with more supporters. That was the prelude to the hijrah of Rasulullah. He did not just migrate in darkness or abstract, that, oh, let me just pack my bags and let's go to Yathrib. There was a prelude to that. And the prelude was that there were Muslims living in Yathrib who had accepted Islam, who accepted Rasulullah as a Rasul, and they were seeing the atrocities and torture and the oppression of the Meccans on the Prophet ﷺ and his companions. So they kept inviting him. But they didn't invite him to Yathrib just because Yathrib was a Muslim country or Yathrib was a Muslim society. He said, oh, Rasul, come here. Everything's going to be merry, merry. So we, as Muslims living in America, we have to learn from the seerah of Rasulullah ﷺ that how did he maneuver things. I know manipulate is a wrong word to use, but he maneuvered things in such a way that gradually and slowly Yathrib transpired into Madinatul Nabi, and that's why it's called Medina. The reason it was called Madinatul Nabi, because over the years, things changed slowly and gradually. Number one, the demographics changed. Number two, the power struggle was not there. There was mutual consultation. And that is why we see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not allow him to go to Medina, Yathrib, Hijrah, right at the first onset of the Bayt al-Aqaba al-Ula. If Allah wanted, you could have told Rasulullah, these people came, they have come to you, they're giving you the bay'ah, the allegiance, go. He said, no. When the time was right, when many Muslims had migrated, because Rasulullah started allowing people to migrate, those who want to go from Mecca, they started moving, there was a shift, a demographic shift. So a lot of people started moving to Yathrib before the hijrah of Rasulullah. And the year of hijrah, which is the 13th year, the first year of hijrah, like our Muslim calendar is based on hijrah. We are right now in which year of hijrah? Do we know? And let me ask the kids. You with the blue jacket, talking to your neighbor. Do you know what Hijri calendar we are in right now? Over you with that nice long hair, white topi. Come on, kids, you should know. Do you know? There with the glasses. Yeah? Which Hijri calendar we are in right now? Yeah. You think it's 1446.
44.
1440?
Oh.
6. Is it 6?
Yes.
Or 5?
6.
6. You sure?
It's in the calendar of the Masjid.
See, everybody is don't give the mother calendar. You should be firm in conviction. Just like you know it's 2024, because 1st January hasn't come. When was 1st Muharram? 3 months back, right? So our calendar changes, you're right. You think, but you're thinking good. MashaAllah. Takbir for a young boy, MashaAllah. It's very important that our kids know Hijri calendar. We have to educate our kids to follow the Islamic calendar also. Everybody knows it's 2024. That's a no-brainer. But we have to also know, if you have lived in Saudi Arabia, how many of you lived in Saudi Arabia? They don't follow this Gregorian calendar. They write everything in the documents, Hijri calendar. So our brothers and sisters have a hard time, license application, other application, visa, iqama application, you have to write the Hijri calendar, remember that. So the Hijri year is the first year of our Islamic calendar, which means what? That was the year our Prophet ﷺ made a major shift in his life. He decided to pick up his bags, his belongings, and move to a new place, a new town, a new area. He hasn't lived over there. He's a muhajir. He did hajra. His birthplace was Mecca. He was born there, raised there, cultivated there. He knew everything, the alleys and streets of Mecca. Yathrib was a new place for him. But he's going to Yathrib on the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and on the anticipation things will change and become better. So politics is part of Deen, Islam. The first political person in our religion is our Prophet Muhammad. He was the commander-in-chief. And that's why he then forecasted that after me there will be Khulafa Rashidin. The 4 Khalifas were also, what was the Khalifa? Khalifa was also the leader of the Muslims, politically and spiritually. And that's why when he migrated to Yathrib, he signed a very important document. Who knows that? What's that document he signed as soon as he entered into Yathrib? Mithaq al-Madina, right? Mithaq means agreement. In English today, many historians have translated it as the Magna Carta of Islam. Magna Carta, meaning Mithaq means agreement. I agree to abide by these terms and conditions. You also have to agree by these terms and conditions that we agree upon. You can Google it. Nowadays we have AI, ChatGPT. Just check the Magna Carta. Just type in Magna Carta Medina, it'll pop up right away. And you will see the conditions over there. These are conditions that our beloved Prophet Muhammad himself agreed upon, suggested and agreed upon. If you read that Magna Carta of Medina, and I urge you to read that if you haven't read it in the Sirah. Why? Because the United Nations Charter that was made in 1943 or 42, if you look at it, compare it, it's exactly the same. SubhanAllah. Just a few words change here and there. United Nations was formed on the pretext of what? That all the countries will come together to abide by certain rules and regulations. Although they don't follow that, that's a different thing. It was a good document. The United Nations Charter, pick up the United Nations Charter on one side, on one column, and put the Magna Carta of Medina on one side, and compare it vis-a-vis, compare it. You'll be surprised that 1400 years ago, our Prophet ﷺ gave a role model example of what an agreement is, to live in a polity of nations. There were different tribes, different qabila living in Medina, and Rasulullah was a statesman. He was a commander-in-chief, he was a president, he was a prime. He knew that I'm coming to a new town, a new area. There are other powers that be. There are Jews living there from years. There are Christians living there from years. There's also Khazraj, 2 of the stalwarts of tribes in Yathrib. So I can't just come in here and take over the city or take over the people. I have to live with them. Therefore, Medina was not an Islamic country or Islamic society. There were no Islamic laws over there right away. Gradually, Yathrib transformed into it. Because he signed this agreement and he said, I and my Muslims and my followers will abide by this rule, and you also should abide by it. And they agreed. The Jews and the Christians and the Aus and Khazraj, they all signed that document, Mithaq Medina. And they all said to Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, we will honor this document on our side so long as you and your Muslims honor this document on your side. And that's how the beginning of the Islamic State started. So the demographics changed also. Muslims started having more children in Yathrib compared to the non-Muslims living there. One demographic change. Number two, a lot of people started becoming Muslim in Yathrib in big numbers. Qabila after Qabila started coming, especially after the two major battles. What two major battles took place as soon as Rasulullah went to Medina? Oh, you should know that. Badr and Uhud. Because the powers that be, they were standing on the sidelines, on the side, the wall, on the fence. They're looking. The first battle, they saw, oh, Muslims are a power to reckon with. What's the impact from the seerah of Rasulullah? What do we learn? What's the impact of Battle of Badr? The impact was that many qabail, many tribes, their eyes popped up. They said, oh, Muslims can't be crushed. Because they knew that 13 years of torture in Mecca, they thought that Muslims will be gone. They'll be finished off. This guy, Muhammad Sallallahu will not last long. This is what the qabail culture was, that because these people are going to finish them. But when they became a force to reckon, because there was no war in Mecca. And this is something you can use for da'wah. A lot of non-Muslims ask us at Dawah booth, your prophet is a warmonger, he fought these battles, he killed so many people, he butchered people. Respond to the non-Muslim. Tell me one battle that he fought in Mecca. Go Google it, go search it, pick up the seerah books. Tell me one battle he fought in Mecca. While he's living in his city, in his town, where he proclaimed his message to be a prophet, tell me one battle he fought over there. The non-Muslim will be speechless. Even the most Islamophobic non-Muslims like Pamela Geller and Steve Emerson and Robert, some of his name, these people, even they don't have on their websites a single battle in Mecca. What does that tell us? The Prophet was a peace-loving statement. He did not want to fight. He did not want wars. He did not want arguments. Peace-loving person, peaceful message. But when you put someone to the wall and you keep pushing them, obviously you have to defend yourself. So when he moved to Yathrib, Medina, now it's a different city, a different place. Now if you're going to bother me, I have to defend myself with the small infantry that I have. 313 people of Badr. 313 people against 1,000 people, they showed them a lesson that, look, don't mess with us. We are peace-loving people. We don't want to fight. But if you're going to push us, we will defend. They came back next year later, Battle of Uhud. Again, the message was given loud and clear. Don't mess with us. We are peace-loving people, but you're going to pinch us, provoke us, incite us. We have to defend ourselves. Between battle, if you read the seerah, between Battle of Badr and Uhud, a lot of tribes became Muslim. Demographics started to change. Between Battle of Uhud and what was the next major battle? Khandaq, ditch, or Ahzab. Another name for that is Ahzab. Why? Because it reminds me, so today you have NATO, right? Non-aligned treaties, something like that. You have all these NATO countries and all the United Nations countries, all against Muslims. Back then also, you had the Ahzab. Hizb means a group, a sect. Ahzab is a plural of Hizb, group. And that is why all these groups, they banded up together to fight against the Muslims. The Quraysh said, look, we fought Battle of Uhud, we fought Battle of Badr, we couldn't defeat these Meccans, we couldn't get rid of this guy, Muhammad ﷺ. Why don't you guys come and help us? Why don't all of you come? There were 40 flags, 40 or more than 40 flags in the Battle of Khandaq, or known as Battle of Ahzab, because now the Quraysh went out and rallied the people. Come, help us. We got to crush this guy. We got to crush these people. If not, then you will be also annihilated. Your tribes will be all transformed. So they did the fear tactic, scaremongering. Sounds familiar? Muslims are bad. Muslims are dangerous. Come, we got to band up against them together. What's going on right now? The whole world is against us. The whole world wants to crush us. Why are our brothers and sisters being butchered in Gaza? Because we want to annihilate Islam and Muslims, totally desecrate that land and show that this land was never Palestine. That's the whole ideology. That you want to crush this whole land, finish it up, and show proof, oh, this was never Palestine. This was always Israel, the land of the free, the children of Israel. It belonged to them. And that same strategy was done in Yathrib, in Medina. The Confederates, the Ahzab, they came and they fought. And that's why Salman al-Farisi, who was a permanent resident, I would like to use that word. He was not a citizen of Yathrib. He was not an Arab. He's a Pharisee. He's a Persian. He came from Persia. He accepted Rasulullah as a prophet. He became Muslim. And Rasulullah was sitting with the Sahaba and saying, how can we defend the city? How? And he asked the Jews and Christians and the Aus and Khazraj, look, you guys signed the treaty. You signed the Mithaq of Medina. Medina is as much dear to you as to us. We're going to defend Medina together. It's kind of like today, American Muslim citizens saying, we have to defend America with you guys. We are part of this country. We are this society. The biggest problem that we American Muslims have is that we have not yet transformed our brain from our country back home. We still think I am Pakistani, I'm Indian, I'm Bangladeshi, I'm Sri Lankan, I'm Algerian, I'm Jordanian, I'm Syrian. Enough is enough. You got the blue passport. Didn't you take an oath? Didn't you pledge an allegiance to the flag? Now that you're living here, you have to think differently. This is what Rasulullah did. He started thinking differently. If he kept thinking, I'm a Meccan, I have to go back to Mecca. This place doesn't belong to me. Yathrib is not my place. I have to go back to Mecca. Once things settle down in Mecca, I'm going to go back. Ask any immigrant Muslim over here, you want to go back to a country? Yeah. They're still dreaming. I remember Maulana Shaykh, Rahimullah, when he first came here in the 90s, people asked him, Maulana Sahib, should we go back to India, Pakistan, or should we stay here? And he jokingly said, Ab to aap aage nahi aap. Now you are here. So think about here. And fast forward 30 years later, they still asked Maulana Sahib, mashallah. Before COVID, the last visit he came here, I remember, someone asked, Maulana Sahib, should we go back to our home country? This time he asked him, Aapke bache kitne, how many kids you have, how big they are. They're in their 20s. Ab kya karenge jaake? Your kids are in 20s and they're living in America. What you gonna do going back? He had a vision, mashallah. Maulana Rahmanir is saying, what he's basically saying, now that you're here, invest your time and effort in this, make this place better. What I'm trying to say is from the seerah, what do we learn from the seerah? The Rasulullah is telling us, invest in the place that you have migrated. You are here. Where is the grave of Rasulullah? Is it in his birthplace or his migration place where he immigrated? Where is our grave gonna be? Where's our grave gonna be? India? Pakistan? No. Some people have bought their graves in Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad. I talk to people and say, oh, meri khabar to wahan pe, hamari family, abai khabar. How are you gonna go there? I told the kids, pack me up and send me there. What, pack you up in a box and put you on a plane? Brother, you have to be buried here. No, it's our family khabar, family graveyard. I said, did you read Surah Luqman? Surah Luqman, the last ayah, Allah says, nobody knows بِأَيِّ أَرْضٍ تَمُوتٍ. This is Allah saying in the Quran. Last ayah of Surah Luqman, go check it out. Allah Himself is saying, no soul knows which earth they're going to die. Hint, what is Allah giving hint? Where you die, buried there. Abu Ayyub Ansari, where is his grave? Other Sahaba, where are their grave? In Yathrib, Medina? Did they say, put me on a camel, send the camel to Yathrib, put me back over there, I need to be in Jannat al-Baqi, I can't be separated? No, wherever they went, buried over there. We have to get out of this mindset, I'm going back, or my dead body is going back. Many elderly people, with all due respect, please don't mind, because I'm an Imam in two of the major Masjid in Central Jersey, Wali and MCNJ. Every time I have to deal with family members who have death in the family, and they call me and say, Imam Sahib, can you please counsel our family members? They want to send dad or mom's grave back body back over there. They're going to embalm it and all. So I have to consult, I have to counsel the family. I have to explain all these things, all these evidences. Look, your person, your loved one is gone. You're going to put more torture on their body by flying them an 18, 20-hour flight back home. And where does it say in Quran and Hadith? Oh no, it's our culture. Our family graveyard is there waiting. Give it to somebody else over there. Sell that grave to someone. Buy your grave on 33 Conover Road over here. We're gonna be buried here. Our grave is here. If it is meant to be. There are many people who still are American Muslim citizens, but their grave is someone else. Because Allah said nobody knows where they're gonna die. I have a very good friend of mine. His mother passed away in Islamabad. They all live here. She went for Ramadan and Eid, and on Eid day she passed away. They were saying, bring the body back. We have the grave here. They live in Tina, so they have it in Marlborough Cemetery over there. I said, brother, you're gonna torture your mother. Oh no, but there's nobody there. She just went to visit her relatives. We all family, all her children are here. I said, bury her in Islamabad, because that is where Allah wanted her to be. The mother lived all her life with her kids here, all her son and daughters here, grandchildren here. But where Allah put her death, Islamabad. Did she know that she's gonna die in Islamabad? No. All she was saying, I have to go. And the kids did not want to send her. But she forced them, send me to Islamabad. I have to visit my old sisters and brothers, and they're dying, they're losing. I have to meet family members. She went there, day of Eid she passed away. Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un. Allah showed the proof that you don't know where you're gonna die. That is why Rasulullah, his grave is in Medina. If he wanted, he could have said, put me in Mecca, right? He is the king, he is the leader of the faithful, he is the prophet. He could have made a wasiyah. Abu Bakr, Omar, Uthman, make sure you bury me back in Mecca. No. The grave of Rasulullah is also a silent message for the Muslim Ummah until Day of Judgment. Where you die, you buried there. Keep your legacy there. Now, Muslims go two cities. Had Rasulullah been buried in Mecca, would you go to Medina? I'm just asking a common question. Would you go to Medina if he was only buried in Mecca? How many of you would make an extra effort? Let me go 400 kilometers to Medina just to see this is where he fought the battle, this is where he lived. But his grave is in Mecca. Would you go?
No. Yes.
One person might go. Two might go. Three might go. But billions of Muslims go? No. Look at the beauty of Islam. Now, Muslims, they go to two places. Because you're not really a complete Muslim if you go to Umrah in Mecca and don't go to Medina. How could you be disloyal to the love of Rasulullah and not visit? And that is why the grave is also a silent message. Invest in your immigrant place. He immigrated to Yathrib. He migrated. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, Surah Nisa, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu, ati'u Allah wa ati'u Rasul, wa ulil amri minkum, fa in tanaza'tum fi shay'in farudduhu ila Allah wa Rasul. This verse was revealed in Medina after the hijrah of Rasulullah. It's a Madani surah from Surah Nisa. What is Allah telling Prophet Muhammad and the Muslims in this ayah? O you who believe, O you have Iman, ati'u Allah, obey Allah first. Wa ati'u Rasul, obey the Messenger of Allah. Wa ulil amri minkum, and those who are in authority above you in Yathrib. Those in authority means the mayor, the township people, the governor, the ministers, the king or the prime minister or the president. These are ulil amr. But our first our first obedience is for Allah and His Messenger. As American Muslim citizens, yes, we obey Allah and His Messenger first, and then we also obey the U.S. Constitution. Do you abide by the U.S. Constitution? Yes or no?
Yes.
You've taken an oath to do that. If you don't abide by the U.S. Constitution, you will be called a what? Traitor. That's treachery. Treason. You would have to surrender your passport and go back to where you came from. Sounds familiar? Go back to where you came from. This is what they say. Discrimination. Oh, you brown skinned, black skinned person, go back to where you came from. America is a white country. America is a white place. You guys don't belong here. We don't want your Sharia law here. We get to hear this every day on the White Islam Hotline. Every single day on White Islam Hotline, there's at least one person calling us and cursing us out and telling us, go back to where you came from. Go back to where you came from. And many of our associates, they are born and raised citizens. They say, hey, I was born in Tennessee. I was born in Florida. You want me to go back to Florida? You want me to go back to Tennessee? No, where your parents came from. I don't go there. And that is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here in this ayah is setting the record straight. That look, you have to obey the law of the land. You have to obey the country politics, what's going on. But you have to participate in it also. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying obedience to the lawmakers. We obey our congressmen and senators. We obey our governors of the state. We obey the mayor of the city, mayor of Piscataway. We obey the, what do you call that? The council members of the township, right? The council member who elect the mayor. We obey that. We obey the laws of the local land. We obey the laws of Piscataway. We obey the laws of Middlesex County. We obey the laws of New Jersey. We obey the law of the United States of America. Because we made a pact, an agreement. When you signed the agreement, the citizenship, naturalization papers, you made an oath and allegiance that I will abide by the laws of the city, the county, the state, and the country. And if you break a law, you are mujrim, criminal. And that's why Allah here in this ayah says, Ati'u Allah wa ati'u Rasul wa ulil amri minkum. Obey Allah and obey the messenger and those who are above you in authority. Allah has put them in authority. So long as those people who are above you in authority don't force you to disobey Allah and His messenger. Because then there's no obedience for that. And then you have to, that is where the politics comes in. You know, people say politics is outside Islam. Politics has nothing to do with Islam. Wrong. This is the ayah. Proof. When next time somebody tells you Islam has nothing to do with politics, there's separation of mosque and state, there is no separation of mosque and state. Unfortunately, it has become that. Because of colonization, because of 200 years of colonization of the Muslim lands, we have now become all these countries that are azad, they are free. 57 Muslim countries on the record, on the document of United Nations, are officially declared Muslim countries, 57. There is an OIC. Do you know that? OIC? Organization of Islamic Countries. Not OIC, the other one that you're thinking. OHISEE. OIC. That's what they're doing basically. They're sleeping. When you go wake them up, you know, Jeddah, their headquarters are in Jeddah. Wake up. Palestinians are dying. Oh, I see. They're dying? Okay. Then they go back to sleep. Then something happens. People in Kashmir dying. Wake up. Oh, I see. Okay. Then go back to sleep. This is what's going on for 75 years, 100 years. OIC was made 75 years ago, and they're still sleeping. Because their mnemonic code abbreviation is OIC, not OIC the other one. They're still sleeping. Allah knows how long they're going to sleep. Why? Because these were all under colonial power. Al-Istimar al-Gharbi, as we say in Arabic. You can read the history. What did Istimar al-Gharbi do? The Western colonization, the British came and colonized us, the French came and colonized us, the Spanish came and colonized us, who else? The Italian came and colonized us, and the Portuguese came and colonized us. These Western powers, European powers, they came and colonized Muslim countries. You know, they speak Portuguese in many Muslim countries. Why? Because their colonial masters were Portuguese. You go to some parts of India, people from India, you know, they speak Portuguese over there. Goa, the Bay Area of India, you know, Goa area, they speak Portuguese because Portuguese ruled over there for a time. In many northern African countries, what second language is there besides Arabic? French. Why? Because the French came and occupied. Look, now they're cursing us, now they're trash talking us, now they're treating us like trash in France. But once upon a time, they stole our gold, they stole our minerals, they stole everything from the northern African countries. Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, you know, Libya, all of this was under the French Revolution. Al-Istimar, we have to understand, you cannot separate politics from Islam. When we did that, we lost everything. So the colonial masters, what I'm trying to say is, they came and they subjugated us. They subjugated us, devalued us, degraded us so much they degraded us that they made us lose our mother tongue and insert in our brain their tongue. You talk to any North African Muslims, North African Muslims, they speak French so fluently. And they know that French is their survival, French language. You talk to any South Asian person, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Myanmar, they speak English so fluently because of the English colonization. I still remember when I was a child, elementary school, kindergarten. My father, my ears were tired. My father always said, I want my son to speak English better than the British, because we were subjugated by the British Empire. he used to say in Urdu, मैं चाहता हूँ मेरा बेटा अंग्रेज की आंख में आंख डाल के अंग्रेजी में बात करे. You know, many times people ask me, where did you learn English? I said, my dad put me in a British school, British embassy school in Kuwait. Why? Because he wanted me to speak English. Little did I know why. This is from Allah's word. I didn't know I'm going to be coming to America. I grew up in Kuwait. I spent my 16 years of childhood in Kuwait. I learned Arabic over there from the Kuwaiti dialect over there. But look, this shows you the subjugation in the mind. You know, I would say all my siblings would go to the Pakistani embassy school because they are going to be learning Urdu and other things. Dad only put me in a British school. And what was his phrase? I want my son to put his eye in the eye of the British or the white man and speak in their language and solve the argument. Maybe that's why Allah chose me to lead Why Islam, 877 Why Islam. That we speak to people for 25 years, been speaking to the people in this country on the phone and training the people. We have 25 people on the phone line, training them, educating them, nurturing them to speak to the people and win the argument in dialogue conversation, and they become Muslim. But what I'm trying to say is the subjugation, the colonialism, put the Muslims so down that now they think that politics is separate from Islam. Because when the colonial masters came, this is what they did. They made the mullah separate. Maulvi, mullah, you stay in masjid. What is your job? Allah, 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 Allah. Statesmen are going to be people who are clean shaved, wear a tie, they have a nice hedgehog kind of hairstyle, and they're going to be the statesmen of your countries. So they bifurcated that. Every country, pick up every country, they bifurcated that. Where's the mullah in Saudi Arabia? Where's the mullah in Qatar, in Kuwait, in UAE, in Oman, in Yemen? Where's the mullah in India, in Pakistan, in Bangladesh? Where are they? Are they in the headquarters, in the GHQ, deciding the affairs of the Muslims? Tell me, yes or no? No, why? Because this is what the colonial masters did. And they infested the poison. It's still going on till this day. We as an ummah will not rise again until we rejoin deen and politics together. Like the Khulafa Rashideen. Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, Ridwan Ajma'in. The guy who leads the salah is the guy who also jumps on the mimbar, gives the khutbah, and is the guy who also decides the affairs of the city and the town. That's not happening for the last 200-300 years. Now the guy who gives khutbah just says, make sure you pray, make sure you fast, make sure you do things, do your amal hasanat, that's fine. Don't talk about politics. You see any mullah or maulvi or imam or shaykh maulana talking about politics? Yes, they do. Where do they end up? This freedom we have in America, this will be gone too soon also. The day you see imams talking over here. I'm talking in sign language because they're recording this. If you close this, I'll tell you some more things. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying here, in this ayah, religion and politics are together. Ya alladhina amanu, ati'u Allah wa ati'u Rasul wa ulil amri minkum. Oh, you believe, obey Allah, obey the messenger, and those who are higher above you in authority. Who put them in authority? Allah put them in authority. Why you obey Abu Bakr? Allah put him in authority. Why is he called Khalifa Rashida? Because he is inspired by the Quran and Sunnah of Rasulullah. He's inspired by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He follows exactly. That's why after the four Khalifas, they're not called Khulafa Rashidin. Rashid, Rishd, means guidance. So these four caliphs were guided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, protected. So long as they implemented the Quran and Hadith and Sunnah. After Ali ibn Abi Talib, it became Mulukiyat. Muawiyah declared, I'm the Khalifa here. Right? Other Sahaba said, no, the son of Ali should be the Khalifa. Hassan ibn Ali, he should be there. Now you have two factions. You have the Baghdad faction and you have the Damascus faction. Now there's no Khulafa Rashidin. And then fast forward that, Imam Hussein, another big fight, another big rift in Islam. The first big civil war began in that Muslims fighting amongst Muslims. Of course, the first one was at the time of Ali, but then that was culminated and they had sorry and they had forgiven each other between Aisha, Talha and Zubayr, if you look at that. But yes, the real first civil war, Imam Hussein. Why? Because there was no longer Khulafa Rashida. There was no longer polity with religion. Now politics was separate. Muawiyah, his son Yazid will become the leader. Then Yazid, his son will become leader. So now it became a hierarchy, became nepotism, favorite. There's no nepotism in Islam. Did Muhammad ﷺ say, after me, Ali is going to be the Khalifa? Why he didn't say that? Because there's no nepotism, favoritism in Islam. You choose people on merit. You choose people on merit. Is this person qualified to be our Imam? Yes. Is he also qualified to be our Khalifa? Yes, fine. If no, he can't be the Imam also. Imams and Khalifas were the same. And they would appoint Imams in the Masjid, being the Khalifa. That's why Allah says, Ulil Amri Minkum, people who are higher above you in authority, obey them. And there are numerous ahadith of Rasulullah that even if you have a ruler above you, a Muslim ruler, who, so long as he does not stop you from praying, salah, you keep obeying him. Even if they're corrupt, even if they are not doing things right. That's why Allah told us in the Quran, وَلْتَكُمْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ يَعْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَانَ الْمُنْكَرِ. Let there arise amongst you a group of people of goodness, khayr. How? They enjoin good and forbid evil. So what are we doing in America? Are we sleeping like our people back home, or are we going to be awake? Are we going to participate in the politics? Are we going to register to vote? Are we going to contribute to campaign? Are we going to rally people, go door to door and say, come out and vote? We have to be part of this political structure. We have been far too long. We have been sleeping on the sidelines. For 75 years we've been sleeping. Because the earliest migration of Muslims that came from immigrant countries were 75 years ago. Before that, the indigenous Muslims were there. People who came many years ago, many centuries ago from Africa as slaves, then their generation became Muslims. They're Muslims and they grew up here. But there are immigrant Muslims that started coming in this country some 75 years ago. Earliest people who migrate here for college education was in the 20s and 30s. You go to Idaho, Iowa, you'll see over there historical data of Muslim students that came here to study in the 20s and 30s. Iowa, I think, has the first masjid. Cedar Rapids, Iowa, I believe, or Des Moines, Iowa, either one of those cities. They have the first masjid in America. It stays over there on the wall. That they formulated that masjid in 1940, when the Muslim students from the 30s were living over there. So Muslims have been coming here for a college degree, for education, for many decades. But now our families are here. Now we are a big force to reckon with. According to some estimates, there are 7 million Muslims in America. Rough estimate. What are these 7 million people doing? Even if we say 3 million of them are voters, registered voters, that 3 million can make a big impact. We have to become part of the politics. Why? Because Allah says, يَعْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَانَ الْمُنْكَرِ. We enjoin what is good, we forbid evil. We have to tell America, we have to tell the world, the society of America, what is good for America, what is good for Americans, what is good for the society here, what is good for the landscape here, what is good for the infrastructure. We have something to offer. And what is that? Divine guidance, Quran of Allah. And that's where Allah said, Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat lin-nas. You are the best of nations created for mankind. Ta'muruna bil ma'ruf wa tanhana al-munkar. You enjoin what is good, you forbid what is evil. Allah gave us 2 tools. Enjoin good, forbid evil. Enjoin good, forbid evil. Amr bil ma'ruf, nahy anil munkar. These are 2 tools that we use in politics. We use in our religion also, and release in politics also. When it comes to political framework, what's your manifesto? Imagine you are a Muslim person running for office. You're running for mayor. You're running for, like our brother Fajr was running. He lost. There's no way, but at least he made an impact. It makes you feel good when you go on 18 or on Eastern Avenue, on different avenues, you see Fahad for Congress, Fahad for Congress. Does it make you feel good?
Yeah.
No. At least you see a Muslim name. Even if he lost, regardless of whatever you have against Fahad, I don't know if you have some issue with him or not, but just seeing that placard on the grass, and I'm driving, it makes me feel good that I can turn to my son and say, Sahib, one day you're going to be the President of the United States of America. How many of us put our children, our sons and daughters in college, go and do journalism, go do a bachelor's in political science, go do a master's in political science, become engaged in political science, do an internship with the senator's office, do an internship with the Congress office, go to Washington, D.C., do an internship with that. How many of us do that? Do any of you do that? No, I know. Nobody's going to raise their hand. You? Okay, mashallah. One person with me. Because I told my son, he said, Baba, what should I do? Engineer, doctor, IT? I said, political science. Huh? What are you talking about? I said, yes, we don't have anybody in our political framework. Dream big, have a big vision, beta. No, no, we can't. I said, you are a born citizen. You were born in Hackensack Hospital. You are the United Nations citizen. No one, koi maikalani, who can stop you from becoming a president. Dream big. Have a vision. Because if Barack Hussein Obama can be a president, Sahib Jawad cannot be a president. Yeah. He's going to be a president. The day he becomes president, you can take appointment to meet him in the White House. You're laughing, I know. Because they laughed at Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and say he's Majnoon, he's crazy. He's talking about Jannah and Jahannam. He's talking about that the Muslims will take over Makkah. They used to laugh at him. What happened? What is Makkah now? Where's it? It's coming. Change is coming to America. Our next generation of people, our next generation Muslims, our kids, go to Rutgers, go to NGID, go talk to them. I do talks and lectures over there. Feel the pulse of our young generation. The guy who won on this November 5th, he didn't win because of us or anyone else. He won because of the young generation. Check the exit polls. The age bracket, you get to vote from age 18. That's another thing. How many of you tell your children, register to vote? Tell your son and daughter. Son, daughter, you became 18, first thing go there, register to vote. We have to put the power. We have to invest in there. 18 to 25-year-old, that demographics, 57% voted for the red side. That made the shift in it. It doesn't make us any different. And what is Allah telling us? Kuntum khayra ummatin. You are the best of nations. You're better than everybody else. That's what Allah is saying. Why? Ta'muruna bil ma'ruf. You enjoying what is good. We're sitting on the sidelines, folding our hands, saying, "Oh, Governor Murphy passed the law for LGBTQ. Now our kids are learning LGBTQ in the classes, in the school. Imam Sahib, what should I do?" I said, "Keep sleeping." What should you do? You should be sitting in the Board of Education meeting. How many of us go to the Board of Education team? Piscataway Township. Every township has a Board of Education. How many of us go to their meeting and voice our opinion? How many of us run for the Board of Education? How many Muslims on the Piscataway? There's so many Muslims living here. MCMC is full of people here in Isha, in Fajr. Subhanallah, alhamdulillah, mashallah, very good. But how many of these MCMC people are in the school Board of Education, are in the local township? Why don't we have a Muslim mayor of Piscataway? Let's start with that first. Sorry. When these things come, I do get a bit emotional because we have been sleeping far too long on the sideline. Look at the other side. You know what I mean? Look at them. They're everywhere. They're in Congress, they're in Senate, they are in local township, they are mayors, they're council members, they're freeholders, they're county sheriff department, this department. You try to search for Muslim in the most thing people will do is put a sticker. I voted. I did my job. No, you're on the other side of the aisle. You have to be over there. You should be running over there so that Tom, Dick, and Harry, Stephanie, Juliet, and Jennifer should be voting for you. We should be on that side. Inshallah, 10 years from now, I want a Muslim mayor in Piscataway. Can you say inshallah? Inshallah. Inshallah, you with me? I'm giving a 10-year deadline. That's a big margin, by the way. Don't scare the mayor right now. Don't tell him we're coming over. You have to. We can mobilize people. Right? There's so many Muslims in Piscataway. We pay taxes here. We have the most expensive houses here. 1.5 million houses. You pay 1.5 million to buy a house and you can't have a mayor in the office? Think about it. Politics is part of deen. Where we live, we decide. Where we live, we also contribute. This is our contribution. And our candidates will contribute the most. Why? Because we have the Quran and Sunnah. Why did Yathrib become Medina? Because when Rasul signed the Misaq of Medina, all the terms and conditions were in line with the Quran and Sunnah and in line with the society of Yathrib. So the people of Yathrib, the Jews and Christians and also Fajr, they didn't mind that. They knew that Muhammad is a prophet, is coming. They rejected him, they denied him, but they knew deep down in their heart he's a prophet. And they knew that he's coming here, but we have to live with him because he's a divine man. And then slowly, Yathrib became, the demographics change. People converted. There's a big, huge conversion going on in this country. But where are the converts? They just convert and they're gone in the wilderness. The other thing, children. Muslims have the highest population. Average, they did Pew Foundation did a research study, Pew Foundation, and they said that Muslim household average is 3.4 child per family. The white American has 1 child per family. We're already beating the march. Because these are voters. These are not just babies being born in hospitals. These are voters. That's the way a politician looks at it. We have to change the framework, start looking at things from a different lens, different angle for future. You're not going to change society today in your lifetime, but you think about your grandchildren. Where is my grandson going to be? Where's my granddaughter going to be? I'm sorry I went over time because this is a very important topic that we have to begin today. And I gave you a homework. What is your homework that I gave you today? Muslim Mir in 10 years time. You do it before 10 years, I salute you. I will give you a gift, big gift. No, Shaykh cannot be president, he's naturalized. So here we go. Let's work towards that. Let's work towards a Muslim mayor. Next election that comes in, nominate people for the school board of education. Next election that comes here, nominate people for the local township. Band it together with people. Look who runs on what portfolio. Because if we become involved, then we can contribute to society and say, no, not over my watch will this happen in our schools, in our society, because Islam is against that. You'll be surprised how many Catholic American citizens told me, Imam, where are the Muslims? And I said, excuse me, what do you mean? He said, we've been fighting tooth and nail, protesting in Trenton against this LGBT curriculum that they're teaching. We tried our best to reach out to Muslim parents. Nobody comes and support us. Where are the Muslims, Imam? What are they doing? What are you doing in your mosque? What are you talking to people, Imam? This is Christian mothers, Christian fathers telling me back then when Governor Murphy signed the law and said, now you're going to teach LGBTQ in schools. Christian parents asking me, they said, we have the same values as you. We stood up in Trenton. We put placards, protests outside the government house. We have no Muslims over there to support us. They're making a point. Are we not against that also? She asked me, are you not against this also? I said, yes. Then what are you doing? Sister, excuse me, ma'am. We're too busy drinking Tropicana juice, cheeseburger, smash burger, French fries. We're just so infatuated with the American dream, building a 1.5 million house with a nice big backyard. That's what we're doing. She said, keep living the American dream. You're going to lose your generation in one shot. Gone. May Allah give us tawfiq. May Allah give us tawfiq to participate in this society. May Allah use us for the khidmah of this deen. Khidmah of this deen is not just building masajid and building madrasa. Khidmah of this deen is also advocating for your values, Islamic traditions, so that your nasl, your future generation remains on Islam. Wallah al-Azim, I swear to God, I'm sitting in a masjid. If we don't get involved in politics in this country, we will lose our future generation. Because they're going to be transformed. The demographic is going to change. There's a big wave coming. Already you can see in 10 years what a big wave came. Now you can't talk, there's laws that you can't talk against a certain aspect of your deen because it was against the law. Legally you cannot talk about it. And that's why it's very important, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, that we participate, keep having the nice breakfast, keep having the nice food and everything, but also think about the future. Think about your grandchildren. Your children are already there in front of you. Think about your grandson and your granddaughters. What kind of America are they going to be living in? And we need to give them the best that we can before we die. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب اللهم أرنا الحق حقا واتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا واجتنابه اللهم إنا نسألك خير ما سألك عبدك رسولك نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من شر ما استعاذ بك عبدك رسولك نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم تقبل منا انك انت السميع العليم وتب علينا مولانا انك انت التواب الرحيم وصلى الله على خلق محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى اله وصحبه اجمعين. Inshallah we can pray short. वो मिल गया समझ